Welcome, everyone, to episode 24 of Sovereign AF Podcast. I'm your host, Regina, here with my beautiful co host, Cynthia.
Hey. Hi, everyone.
And we are going to talk about developing your intuition. And who knows what else we're going to talk about, right? We have we have the beautiful Jackie Kenner, who is a psychic medium and a business coach for spiritual women. And I'm going to let you go a little bit deeper into your background, Jackie, and tell us a little bit more about you. And thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to be here with you.
So excited. So
I'm
honored.
very excited to be here and grateful that you're having me on. So my gratitude there.
Awesome.
I My background is really, it's like I had two very different backgrounds. So I started like very academic focus. Like I finished high school at 17. I went all the way through college and grad school and finished grad school at 21 with honors. Like a lot of people don't know that about me, that I was like a super brainy kid that didn't like school. I rushed through. I went into the corporate world, worked in digital, well, first management consulting and then digital strategy for technology startups. Most of them were actually doing AI in the medical industry, and I loved it. But then one day, my psychic abilities just came on full force. There were things leading up to this. And I kind of walked away from it all. And I was a practicing professional psychic medium for 10 years. I still actively do these sessions, but about 4 years ago, I started merging the two. So, doing business consulting and coaching for other spiritual or holistic businesses, women, entrepreneurs. And that's really been my main focus. I just came out of a maternity leave, and that's been my main focus since coming back is like, I have this I have this goal to get wealth and influence in the hands of spiritually inclined people because I know it's going to help heal this planet. It's like something that I can do powerfully. And I just kind of, you know where it came from? I'm rambling, by the way. I just took
That's
over. I just took
cool.
over the
I
whole
totally
mic.
We love
ramble.
it.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
We love
But
it.
so my dear friend Tony, who many people know, Tony Rodriguez, sent me
Mhm.
a meme when I was on maternity leave, and it was like, these three things make a really good parent. I don't remember two of them, but one of them was that they actively believe that the world will be a better place for their children. And I felt attacked. I was like, I do not have that fundamental belief. I do not believe that. And I have to change that. And I have to do everything in my power to change that for myself as an individual and for my son. And so that's the moment when I was like, you have to go full throttle at this and you have to combine these two parts of yourself to help, because a lot of spiritually inclined people, holistic practices, healers, they're not business people, or they feel bad about charging sometimes. And I'm like, the world needs you to make this your profession. The world needs what you have to offer. So I work with people or small businesses to help them make it work so that I can believe the world is going to be a better place for my son.
Yes.
Aww.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's so true.
And
Yeah.
Cynthia, you've actually worked with Jackie as a business coach on your private practice a little bit, right?
Yeah. I've had a mediumship reading with Jackie, which was phenomenal a couple of years ago. And then I've done her business with spirit program, which was amazing. She like lit a fire under my ass.
Because the world needs what you have to offer. We need your
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
love that you said it that way too. It's so true. Like to fully believe that the world is going to be a better place for our kids. That's absolutely. We
it's a
need
struggle. It is a total struggle, especially with everything that we're like, that we know. You know, when you wake up,
Yeah.
with everything that you know, you're like, how are we possibly going to make this world a better place? But there's a way. There's always a way.
that. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely manifesting you as my business coach
It's been noted, said here
for the
live.
podcast,
We're
but
bringing you
also
into the podcast.
for my side business that I need to. I've been doing it kind of low key and I get like random referrals, but I don't really put it out there, but I'm
What
going to
is
put it
it?
out there. I do energy healing. It's called quantum source light energy healing. Um, I'm really good at clearing and shielding people that have like entity attachments, etc. Like I specialize in that. And I started adding in tuning forks, and I'm going to study biofield tuning. Um, and then I've been a certified life coach since 2008. I used to have a business for kids and teens, which was awesome. But I didn't know what I was doing. I had no Jackie. I was like years ago, I was like in my early 20s and I had no clue what I was doing, but I want to get back to the healing and coaching. So Tyler said, if you hire Jackie, she will not talk to you like you're her friend.
True.
Oh,
And I
hi, Tyler. So I did help Aaron and Tyler when, especially after they were booted from, I don't know if I can say it on here. They got the boot from the YT, and I was like,
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
this is, so I helped them get some of their stuff up and going. And the first time Tyler and I met, he had given me access to review their website. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to talk to you right now like you are not my friend because I need to be really honest. That's my specialty. It's like tough love,
Love it.
but like it's because I care. It's not coming from any kind of a critical place. It's because I care and I want things to do well. And sometimes we just need a little bit of a course correction.
No, you did that with me too. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, give me access. We're gonna go in there. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's like you were in my head, it doesn't have to be perfect, Cynthia. We're just gonna get things done. We're gonna lay out. Yeah, it was awesome. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, we get hung up. I mean, this is like just to make a little bit of a segue into like our intuitive practice too. Like we got hung up if it's not perfect immediately. And it's like there is no professional psychic or medium, anyone that falls under the realm of the size, like under psychic, telekinesis, clairvoyant, all of the things that started perfect. They all
Yeah.
started with a hunch, and they
Yeah.
learned to train it and tune in and learn about their connection over time. And that quest for perfection before we put ourselves out there holds so many of us back.
It holds me back.
So true.
Totally, totally holds me back like every day.
Yep. Regina
Seriously.
and I are like same, but different. It's so funny. We're always like,
Yeah.
same person. How are we the same person?
We're like very much the same, but there's some stark differences there for
Yeah.
sure. Like,
Yeah.
but we're going through like the same thing and at the same time, like breakups at the same time. Like we're born the same year, we have the same north node, we have the same what is the numerology called?
Three. We're both threes.
But what is it? Your
My life
Enneagram?
number.
life path number.
Oh,
Um it's
isn't it
very
Enneagram? What's it?
interesting.
Enneagram.
Oh, Enneagram. I don't
Yeah.
remember which
I
one I
feel
am.
different all the
Okay.
time
Am I
on
eight,
those.
Okay.
maybe? I don't focus on Enneagram. I think I'm an eight, but I'm not really sure. Oh, someone's trying to sell health insurance in the comments.
Okay,
Good luck.
Eric, strike one, buddy.
So, and Jackie, I appreciate how you're straightforward. I mean, that's what works for me. I'm half Italian from right outside New York, so I've had to tone myself down if I wanted to have any friends. So I appreciate straightforward, brutal honesty, and we're totally going to work together. I'm going to manifest that. But let's dive into the topic because we were
Yeah.
just talking about some stuff before we hopped on, and we're at a pivotal point in humanity where I don't know what's going to happen, but a lot of intuitive people are feeling a certain kind of way right now. We've got this eclipse coming, and I don't know, right? People, billionaires are moving their money out of the stock markets, they're building bunkers. I mean, this is not fear mongering, but we know that there's agendas at play and they're going to play out here very soon, right? If you're not tied into your inner guidance system, your intuition, like what are you even doing? You can have all the bunkers in the world, all the gold and silver, all the food and water filters and everything self-sufficient. But if you're not tied to your intuition, what are you even doing? So it's so important. So let's talk about that. What are, some different tips or, that you recommend for that?
Well, the biggest one is like to trust your gut, but you have to do a gut check on like, have I been scared? Has something scared me and set me into fear mode? Because when we're in a state of fear, intuition is just whack. It's just completely skewed. And I'm going to go into the deep end for a second. The only way around that is to not be afraid of your own death.
Mm,
That's the only way around it. It's like, because what we're
yeah.
all running from is death. It's not
Mm,
like a little bit of a hard year. It's not like we're like, I don't want to die. That's
mm,
really, I think, what's behind it for a lot of us. And so for me, like, I have this kind of notion of like, I can remember enough of the other side to know there's a point when it's just not chill to be here anymore. Like, I just won't care. Like, I'm not going to defend life at all costs. Like, I'm not going to hunker down. I'm not going to stock up my ammunition. It's just like at some point, like, so when I really came to terms with that, it allowed me to be like, let me just enjoy my daily life. Let me tune into my intuition. Let me prepare in the ways that I feel are necessary, which I was just sharing with you ladies. This is not advice to anyone, but
mm,
we sold our house in January. We have all of our money out of the stock market. Like, I sense there are hard times coming. And at the same time, I'm not going to allow it to move me into this obsessive mode of survival, because they may not come. Enough of
right.
us may collectively cause a shift or a split that they don't come. And I think it's just like your intuition is not just a guidance system, it's a truth system. It's a point of
Mm,
truth. And if you tune in enough, you realize like what matters to me is my soul's evolution, not
mm.
fighting some dickheads on earth doing terrible things. Can I say that?
Yes, please do.
You can
Okay.
say whatever you want. The only thing I would be careful about, because we do put this on YouTube and we are in Facebook, which is like the king of
Yeah.
crap censorship. Um, Anything that people put in their arms, I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't
don't worry.
say.
I'm not gonna go
Um,
there.
the C19 thing, probably be careful
Mm-mm.
about. You could say fuck whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah, I don't go into those topics typically anyways, just because it's overdone. We're over it.
Mm, yeah.
No, but so your intuition is not just to save you, it's to remind you of the truth of who and what you are, which is a soul being having a human experience for a blip in time. So
Yeah.
for me, that allows me to just not take it all so seriously. And the thing is, like, Earth has been corrupt since its inception. We are not naturally occurring. The moon is not naturally where it is. Like,
Right.
we were placed here. There were already nefarious intentions happening. Like, we have been corrupt since the inception. And if you think that corruption is just starting, I think you're behind. So
Mm,
you can't
yes.
outrun it. You cannot outrun it. And part of your soul chose to be here. You
Hmm.
chose to come into this body and this timeline under these circumstances. And I guarantee you it was not to live in a perpetual state of fear.
Yes.
Right.
So tuning into our intuition is important because it reminds us of the truth of what we are. And it allows you to keep a level head and still make decisions, but like not
Mm,
irrational or fear-based, because it doesn't
right.
feel good. Have you ever like gone down a rabbit hole where you're like, oh my God, is this true? And then for two
Yes.
days, you're terrified. You're like low grade, just afraid to be around. That's not good for us. That's not good
Yes.
for our souls.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
So you tune into your intuition and you ask, like, okay, I need to remember who and what I am. I need to remember that I chose this incarnation at this point in time. And I need to follow what I believe is highest and best for me, not from a um, over protective or defensive standpoint.
Right. And that's what I've been trying to do is basically just take small steps that are going to make me feel better, like some extra food, some extra water,
Yeah.
some gold and silver. I've talked about some things and I probably should put them more out there because this is sovereign AF, right? And we talk about sovereignty kind of in all different areas. But without fear, I'm looking to move, I'm looking to buy land, but all of it without fear. And I'm not afraid of death, so I don't get that much into fear as other people or that much into like overly prepping. And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna lie, I got some ammo and shit, like I live in Idaho. Look, I've
I mean,
got
I'm
the
in
plot.
Texas It's
Yeah.
normal.
I mean, I've like we're locked and loaded here, but I don't have that out of fear at all, you know? Like, um,
You know,
yeah,
the
it's
most under like stocked thing that I think people should be considering is actually like multivitamins.
mm,
Because if there's a food shortage, you're not going to have the supply of what you need to stay healthy. And I'm
yeah,
like, have a year's supply of multivitamins in your cabinet, please.
Mm,
Like
yeah,
that is that is something I don't think people consider. Like if it comes down to it and we're getting rationed food, you are going to be nutritionally deficient and sick. So stock up on your multivitamins, please.
yeah. I mean, the food I have that's like my proper food isn't the most nutritious, so it's a
right.
really good point.
Yeah, get your multivitamins, your super green, your spirulina, the things where it's like, look, if there is a shortage in whatever supply chain, if this goes in ways that it's been predicted, then take care of your body, you know? A
Yeah,
multivitamin a day and a scoop of spirulina or super greens can really help sustain you. And they're small, it's easy to store.
Yep.
yeah,
Listen, I'm like, I'm not going to overly prep, but everyone
yeah.
go buy.
That it's so funny.
Oh, my
Like
vitamins.
the topic is like developing your intuition, and we're talking
Yeah.
about like prepping. Like, guys, get some vitamins and um. But yeah, back to the topic.
Yeah.
Um, I know that there's people out there that are not as in tune to their intuition. I've always been highly claircognizant, clairsentient, and my clairvoyance is spotty, but coming online. But for those that are not as in tune, what are some ways that you would recommend developing that?
So what I always have people start with is like, please share with me, like, think back at any point in your life if you did have a psychic connection or insight. And most of the time, people can say they did, even if they suspect it was just an imaginary friend, which I don't think are imaginary at all.
Mm,
Because
yeah.
the way I describe it is we're all born with a row of light switches, and each of these light switches indicates a supernatural ability. And some of us are born with one or two flipped on, some of us have them all on. But between the ages of 3 to 8, it's really closer to 7 or 8, we start actively and selectively flipping them off because we want to fit in socially and there's no reference point for what's going on. It's just weird.
Mm,
And so I always have people see if they can reconnect to what light switches were you born with that were on, because those are the ones that are going to be easiest to start with to train. So some examples of this are like prophetic dreams, or I had visions, or I could look at somebody and I could know something if I looked them deep in the eye. And if we can recall that psychic connection, that's where we start. After that, the biggest thing that gets in people's way is a belief that it's not possible for them. And it's this like, no, it's just in my mind. It's just my imagination. So I invite people to reconsider what the imagination is. To me, your imagination is a direct link to source energy. It is your soul's reminder that you have creative potential to design anything you choose, like your imaginary friend. I think before we were humans, we were souls that were practicing our literal creative creation abilities, making stars, planets, energy, whatever it is. And we know on a deeper level that if we can align the human will beliefs and that imaging in our mind, that we can literally create our realities. And so I have people reframe what is your imagination because it has been dumbed down. It's been made child's play, entirely make believe, not reliable, something silly. And it's questionable, right? Was that done as a programming intentionally? Or is it just because people literally didn't understand? Like children are so directly connected to source energy and to their powers of manifestation, but they have no desire to manifest. So they don't put them into play because they want for nothing. They're just exploring and learning. So I have people, second, allow the imagination to be powerful. What happens when you do that is if you have a psychic connection when you're practicing and you say, was that just my imagination or was that real? Then I say, yes, it is. both because your imagination is your direct link to source energy and it is your ability to manifest your reality. And we start to recredit what the imagination is. I'm going to pause for a second.
I
I just
love
covered
that.
a lot. Yeah.
Love that. No, I didn't know that that was an actual thing at around 7 or 8, shutting it off, because as a child, I was very weird and I was trying to move objects with my mind and I was trying to send telepathic messages and I was getting really frustrated. Like it wasn't as easy in this reality. But my mom was really cool. Like she played along. Like we'd be driving in the car, I'd try to change the lights and she would play along with it. Like I have to say, she let me like go, she went with it. But then it reached a certain point where probably I wanted to fit in, and I was like reading books on ESP at like 7 when my friends were playing Barbie. And I was like, oh, they're not reading that. So let me just play with Barbie. Right. But
Or
Yep.
you can get into like, I was reading about astral travel when I was in middle school. And I remember being kind of ostracized by my friends' parents because it was the devil's work or the occult. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be bad. So I just shut it down. There's all
Hmm.
kinds of factors that come into play around us actively turning off our own switches. But I like for people to, like for you, for example, there must have been a reason why you were interested in that. There must have been can you hear my son screaming, by the way? Okay.
no, can you?
Okay. He's screaming out of fun. I'm on the third floor, but I didn't know how much is picking up in the mic. He's probably talking to his imaginary friend.
I love it.
There's reasons we remember this. It'll be interesting. Our generation of kids, I'm very excited for it because we're like more inclined to encourage psychic connection. We want to ask about what do you remember from the other side. The concept of star seeds is not foreign to most people, in our generation having kids. And most of us, I'll be careful with that. A lot of my psychic colleagues, I asked them, like, why do you think you have this ability? And a very common response is, I brought this in from another life form. And I certainly feel the same. I feel that the life form that I was before I was human or simultaneously with another human life before, it's tricky because they're all happening at the same time, but I'll talk
Right.
about it in a linear order, had the ability to communicate through telepathy and had the ability to merge histories so that you got a full understanding of the individual you're talking to, which actually creates compassion when you can understand every experience they've had and how it impacted them. And there's something that my soul remembered about that made me more adept in this life as a human being to practice these skills of mediumship, this understanding of lifetimes changing form, but not ever starting or ending, like our souls. And um, so for you, I would say there's probably a reason you remember that. You're probably skilled in that area. And that's typically the case. Everyone I work with, well, I'll be fair. People probably come to me because they have a hunch. Nobody comes to me like, I've never had any psychic experience. I don't know if this is real. Can you help me tune in? And that hunch is actually like a roadmap for you to start really tuning it up. There's another question people often have. Stop me at any point, by the way, if we want to elaborate or ask questions. I can't see the chat, so I don't know if anything's
Yeah, no,
going.
I just want to remind people in the chat to feel free to ask questions throughout, guys, and we'll do our best to get to them. No, keep going.
Yeah.
So people often wonder, like, do I need to do a cleanse? Do I need to clean my body? Do I need to detox my pineal gland? And this is the straight up response that I give people. No, but it'll be easier in the beginning if you do. Because what we're doing is we're learning to differentiate between different tonal patterns that we're receiving. So, an example of this is our own thoughts have a certain way they feel and sound in our consciousness. I think our thoughts exist in our consciousness, not the brain. And I think that they are around us, not necessarily in us.
Yes.
Um, versus like a thought transfer, which is basically how I'm communicating. It's like a thought transfer from a spirit, has a different tone, feels different, got a different pace. It just has a different tone. So in the same way that my husband sounds different than my mother-in-law, even if I can't see them, somebody's talking to me, I know exactly who it is. That's what you're going to be learning to do with your intuitive connection. Is this me? Is this spirit guidance? Is this my guides? Is this my higher self? That's also tricky because ultimately they're like fingers on a hand. They all come back to the same energy source, but they show up like this is my pointer finger, this is my middle finger. And that's actually helpful for us to receive when we can recognize, like, this is my spirit guide or this is my grandmother, because it gives us that a little bit more of that human connection that we need. But at the
Mm.
end of the day, everything's coming from the same source energy. So when we clear out our vessel and we get extremely tuned in, think about when you've done a cleanse and you just start having these insights and this clarity. That's going to help you start to differentiate the tones. What's mine? What's from EMFs, by the way? Those create weird vibrations that create erratic thoughts. Your thoughts are not your responsibility. Your reaction to your thoughts is. You cannot control your thoughts, especially with so much electromagnetic interaction in our like electromagnetic bodies. So we learn to differentiate what is it that I'm receiving? What does this belong to? And that is easier to do in a clean vessel. The moment that you understand what's coming from where and you're tuned in, it no longer matters. Like one of my favorite teachers, Jerry Wills, is crazy tuned in, a phenomenal healer, and he literally lives on Marlboro Reds, Diet Cokes, and M&Ms, and that is his diet. And he is like super dialed in.
What?
So I do think it's helpful because we also, when we clear out our bodies, we also excavate some of the vibrational traumas or vibrational patterns that have been set in over our lifetime. And it pulls us back into our unique original vibratory state, which is what children are, who are
Mhm.
literally jumping between realms all the time with their consciousness. And it's just easier. So that's like a big question I get asked. Do I need to cleanse? It will help you in the beginning. It will not be necessary at all once you've dialed into those different tones and what comes from where.
Yeah,
Love
that makes
that.
sense. And I know before I do like energy healing sessions, I'll drink a lot of water to make sure I'm hydrated because we're, 70% water.
Yeah, before and
Um,
after the
yeah,
cleanse. Yep.
whether I'm doing it on someone or someone's doing it on me, same thing.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm doing a cleanse right now, actually with Alexia. And I'm about to start phase two, and I'm a little nervous, but excited.
Is phase
Uh,
two liver? Is it liver cleanse?
phase two is the CDS. I don't even know. I don't know that we
Like
should say it on.
parasite cleanse.
Yeah, but I
Oh,
don't know if we should say actually what that is. That'll get us banned. CDS. Um, I'll tell you later.
okay. This is
That I
fucking
think that would get
crazy,
us.
by the way.
I
If I
That,
know.
said that out loud,
okay.
I think there's times where I like walk around. I'm like, I cannot believe that I'm like have to pay so much attention to EMFs, toxins, food, wearing my blue blocker glasses, like all this stuff I got to do just to survive and be healthy in this reality because we're getting attacked from all angles. I mean, this shit is wild, absolutely wild.
It's it's such a balance though too. Like yes, doing that, but then it's like, okay, are you having fun? Are you living? Are you doing the things that are really bringing you happiness? And it's like finding that in between in there that is so important, I think, right now too, you know? Like
Mhm.
Jackie was saying today, eat a damn cupcake.
Yeah, eat a cupcake.
Yeah,
Laughter. So for people who've been off planet, can I talk about
Yes, please.
I'm
off
gonna get
planet.
banned. Yeah.
Yeah,
And interacted with other things. They say that laughter is really unique to the human species. And I think that's on purpose. Like laughter is not a given across all species. And I really try and hang on to that. Like we're meant to laugh. There's something about the human experience that's really nice to laugh. And also to enjoy the five senses, like eat delicious food,
Yeah.
burn candles that healthy, non-toxic candles that you love, like actually enjoy the senses
yeah,
because they're not they're not a given across all life forms. And that's interesting to me. Thinking about what you were saying with water, because your vitality as a healer or a psychic or medium, it actually is essential in the quality of read that you can give to someone. So, to the extent that your food will affect your vitality, it does matter. Because if you're sick or unwell, it's not a good time to do a connection. So it's interesting that you have that intuitive guidance of drink a lot of water because it really does bring up your vitality. It will give you a better session for your clients.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yep. Jackie, I have a question. So what if I know someone that is very, 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 he's a medium, 100%. But if you are raised with religion
Mm-hmm.
and there's this other understanding that's there, right? That's distorted. And to some people, it may feel like it's an attack. How do you teach someone or teach people that it is a gift that's coming, but then on the other side, maybe there is an attack that happens to these people too? Does that make sense?
Kind of. Say
Like,
the question again.
so if you're afraid of your abilities, if
Mm,
you're like deathly afraid of your abilities, because maybe there's confusion between what is good and what is bad that's coming
yeah. Can get deep and dark. Because
We can
everything's
go
out
deep
there.
here. We
Yeah.
can, I'm not afraid to get deep and dark.
and like how do you learn to shut that part off and say, okay, absolutely, you do not get to come through and protect, and in essence protect yourself in that way when you're just this wide open vessel that's never been taught that.
Yeah. Well, everything's out there, period.
Right.
It's not even a spectrum. It's a big giant circle and we're in the middle of it. It's like everything is out there. The good, the bad, the dark, the light, the shadow, the evil, the divine, it's all out there. Um, I'm always like interested. I play around with this thought because as dark of things as I've come across out there, I still haven't met anything in the astral realm that's near as bad as some of the shit human beings are doing on Earth. Like the depth of evil is here on Earth. So if you can exist on Earth and believe that you can protect yourself in the astral realm for sure. And
Or maybe the bad isn't from the astral then that I'm talking about. Maybe that is something that's coming through here. Does that make sense?
like a psychic attack or
So like psychic attacks, but like you have this clear channel that's open, but then that doesn't know how to protect themselves. So they get attacked by other things that are on Earth as well, if it's not
okay.
coming from the astral.
So it is important when you connect or when you're doing work, consciousness work, let's say work where you're outside of your body or you're connecting to the unseen, you do always want to declare your intention.
Right.
So I say things like, I'm putting up a shield of light, love, and protection. I'm calling forward only what's highest and best for myself from a place of truth and love for my client. And there's not a lot of interference if you do that.
Okay.
It's really when you're out there on your own that when you're attempting to gather information or you enter with what we might call like a blue sky intention, where you're just like, I don't know, whatever comes, comes. Like it's just an empty canvas, let's say. And the teacher I was talking about that eats M&Ms and cigarettes, doesn't eat cigarettes, smokes cigarettes. He taught me something, and I absolutely love this because it will remind you of your power. So he said, when you're out there and you see something and you say, you're not my energy, I don't want anything to do with you, I'm not attempting to connect to you, leave. Most of the time they do, because they're actually not very powerful at all. But there are some ones out there that are powerful. And then I asked him, okay, so what do I do if it doesn't leave? And he said, well, it's really simple. You eat it. Just like that.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm like, does that work? And he's like, yeah, that's how powerful we are. We have been made to believe that we are subservient, that we need people to connect us to source, that we have no business out there because of these terrible, evil things. And we actually are really powerful enough to just eat them. Our energy essence is. However, I do want to specifically talk about um, what you're referencing, which is psychic attacks or astral attacks intentionally at a human being from either another human being or what we might call an artificial source.
Yes.
And if you really believe that that is the case, I would say the best advice I could give is stay out of the astral and get yourself a really good teacher because there is no one size fits all until you know what's going on and you really amp up your belief in yourself, you probably just shouldn't mess with it.
Yeah.
These occurrences are very rare because those things still take a ton of energy and focus. And the vast majority of us are just not that interesting to the people who have these capabilities. I'm not saying they don't happen, they do happen to people. The best thing you can do is sync up with a teacher or
Agreed.
a team of other uh, experienced astral individuals who can go to battle.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't know how else
Feel
to
like
explain it.
feel like he needs to learn how to shield, and
Yes.
it could probably help him a little bit with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shield every morning and every night, like no joke. I shield extra at night. Cynthia asked me the other day, she was at a dance competition for her daughter. She's like, "Can you shield me? There's a lot of people here."
Yeah. And I get
Um,
drained, man, if I don't. I'm like, can you shield for me? Because you have the like
yeah.
the moving.
I'll have to teach you. But ever since I've been doing that morning and night, I don't even have nightmares, like nothing. Zero. And I've also had encounters before where there was something in my room. I don't even know if I even shared this with you, Cynthia. And I just literally said, "Be gone, gone." So, and at first I was like afraid and I was frozen and I couldn't move. And there was like noise in my room. And I can sense that it wasn't evil, but it was like mischievous. You
Mm.
know, there's a whole story to that. I'll leave that out. But I froze, like my body was frozen, like I couldn't move. And so that scared me. And then it was like a switch went off. And I don't know if it was like my higher self kicked in. And then I was just like, be gone, be gone, be gone, gone. So you just have to remember how powerful you are.
Yep.
You might have to be taught how to remember because it's that deeply embedded in our existence that we're just mere humans and we're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think some people are naturally like maybe the veil of forgetfulness is just a little bit thinner. They're just a little bit more connected naturally,
Yeah.
whereas others have to develop it. But we all have that intuition and that extra psychic senses, you know?
Well, our bodies are literally made to connect from a distance. Like there's a whole study, I cannot for the life of me remember the word right now because I need it, but there's a whole study of the field of energy from the heart.
Yes.
And it is vast and it interacts with other people's. And we're literally made for psychic interaction with each other. So that's another thing I'll remind our headspace is too, but it only projects like roughly 10 centimeters, whereas the heart's field, electromagnetic
Mm,
field is like, it depends on the individual, but it's very big. And there's an entire study devoted to this. It's
mhm.
undisputed. And I tell people like there's a reason. Like you were designed to have psychic interference and psychic exchange with other humans. It's an innate part of our biology that we're not taught and definitely told to like turn off. It's like one of those light switches. Like if you're like, I just feel like something's wrong, you know? Oh, don't worry, sweetie, it'll be fine. How many times do we like
Mhm.
tell our kids that we don't even think about it? So Yeah, I'm just circling back to what you were saying, Regina. It is like it's an innate ability that we have without question, and most people aren't even aware of that.
Yeah.
Mm,
I feel like that too. Like,
yeah.
even with Aiden, she's 14 now, but when she was little, and I never made it a discounted moment when she was afraid or when she was like, "Oh, mom, there's something coming through my wall or something weird is in here." I always went there. We protected. We called in her, taught her how to call in her angels, how to like clear her room and protect her room, put herself in a light, call in the light, and always listen to her because I didn't. I remember being like that. I never slept in my room when I was a kid. They called me the wedge because I would run out of my room every single night
Mm,
and dive in bed with my parents, because there was always something, always in my room every night. I know there was. So
yeah,
it's so important to listen to your kids, especially at that age, because they're just so connected to everything around them. And
They
that's
are.
one reason I
They're
love working with kids now too, is to teach them that again as teenagers or young adults, going back into your heart space and feeling, it's like walking into a room. You can, or that's how I am because I'm a feeler and a knower. I just know things and I just feel things. You walk into a room and you can feel and like take the vibe out of the room, right? And that's something that I think we all have too. And it's just really learning how to allow that to grow and to trust it, number one. Sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
No, that's it. It really is. It's like trust that that it's capable for you. I mean, you're capable of doing it. It's possible for you, and that's like a huge step of unlocking your abilities. Because if you don't, they also tend to unfold at the rate that we can handle them. So,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
a lot of us think we want them instantaneously, like this massive psychic breakthrough. And actually, people who have those often end up in the asylum
yeah,
because their nervous system expanded so quickly they couldn't process or integrate. And so, when we're doing it in a healthy way, they're coming through at the same rate of our ability to work with them and integrate. And it's usually better that way.
yeah. I just want to add to that, Jackie. I have always been claircognizant and clairsentient, but growing up, I was getting really like frustrated because I knew I was more intuitive, like visually. I knew I was clairvoyant and I wasn't like fully online. And I was getting really annoyed. And intuitively, I knew that I blocked it out of fear when I came into this reality. And I did a session with a very talented healer in the UK. We went into a past life, multiple past lives, and she's like, "Oh, you were killed. You were shunned from the community. You were all these things happened to you because you were an
That witch
oracle.
wound.
That's why you blocked it." And I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense." And so for a while, and I was working with a spiritual coach, and I really wanted it to come online. I was getting really annoyed, right? Like, why am I not fully clairvoyant when I on call, like on demand, like it's spotty? And then as it started to come in even more like spotty, I'm like, whoa, okay, like I see why like it's coming in slow because I mean, I've had some freaking mind-blowing moments that I'm like, holy shit, if that was just like 24/7, I don't know what I'd be able to do with myself.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to process and integrate.
And that's what I kind of meant by that too, Jackie, is like, how do you teach someone that is like that to tone it down? Like, how do you teach them to be able to be like, no, okay, now it's time to shut off. Like, that's it, That's a hard.
I would remind them that like this is a conversation in a way. So sometimes
Mm.
I'll say to my guides, I'm not working right now. Like I have to actually be fully present. Let's say I'm, you know, with my son and I just need to be very earth-based and maternal. And I have to say, like, I'm not working right now. Or I might say something like, this is way too abstract for me. Like, I'm here to listen. But if you want me to do something with this, you need to make it really clear. And they do. We often forget when we're tuned into our loving guidance that it's a conversation. So for this person, for example, they can always say, too much too soon, slow it down so that I can decipher this. Because there is a loving guidance system interacting with us that wants us to have what's highest and best. And we forget that it's literally a conversation and that we can ask for what we want and receive. It's that ask and you shall receive that's present in all spiritual teachings in all major religions. Ask and you shall receive. Even in the raw material, the law of one. It's like we get what we ask for. We just don't realize the ways that we're asking or not asking. So that's a really big thing with starting your intuitive connection, is understanding that you can adjust the pace by asking. Regina, for you, something that was coming up when you were talking is this is something that I teach. So really the connection process is 4 steps that I teach. It's just all the blocks, doubts, and fears that we have to address so that you can accept and allow that you are innately capable of doing this. But the one that's not often taught is before you connect, there is a moment where you visualize yourself matching the vibration of the spirit world. It's
Mm.
like it's like this moment of elevation of your vibratory state. And the act of doing that is you seeing I am one with source. So I would encourage you, like, if you're going to continue to work on that, Regina, like have that moment in your connection time where, so I can go through the 4-step process as well. I want everyone to know it and try it. And then, blocks, doubts, and fears take teachers and help. But go through that process of, okay, I'm setting my intention on my connection, and see yourself as an energy entity and say, I now shift my vibration to match that of the highest spirit world or the source energy, whatever it is that you believe in. And you'll feel yourself tune in better and differently.
Love that.
I love that. I do something similar with the energy work. I love that.
So the 4-step
So,
process.
yeah, maybe we should get into that because we're kind of coming to the end of the hour. And I think this would be helpful for people that aren't as tuned in, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we all have rituals that we need to do in order to be able to focus. And those are just as important when you're going into connection time. So establish your rituals. And for me, it's I need a warm cup of tea or coffee and I need a clear working space. When I first started, I was like, I have to clean my whole house. My whole house has to be spotless. And I was just sabotaging. Really, I was just slowing it down and sabotaging. So honest rituals of what you need. And then you need to tune in and see, am I at neutral?
Mm.
So is my body at neutral, or is something disturbing or distorting my energy? These are often etheric cords that need to be removed. Again, these are things, I have a meditation for it. There's ways you can do it. And we could spend 2 hours talking about etheric cords. They're
Wow.
emotional disturbances. Somebody said something to you at the grocery store and it's still messing up your energy because it vibrated the same resonant frequency as something your mom said to you when you were 7. There's like stuff going on. You can do that really easily with 3 deep breaths and saying, I release what's not mine to carry. I release what's not my natural state. I release what's not mine to carry. And often that in and of itself will get you to neutral.
Mm.
Then we have our prayer and our intention, always setting up our shield of protection and calling out what we're connecting to. So important. So I am only connecting to the highest and best truth from a place of love with the shield of light, love, and protection, whatever that is for you. Then you see yourself shift into the same energy vibration of the spirit world. And you have to visualize it. You don't just go through it in your head. You have to literally see the vibratory shift and then just connect. That's it.
Love it.
I love that.
I love it.
Jackie, I've seen some of your posts on Instagram using different tools. Do you want to like quickly mention a couple different tools that might help others that are maybe like struggling to connect a bit deeper, or
For
what do you think?
sure. And I
Yeah.
had one person ask if I would please talk about the eclipse. And all I'm going to say is I will be looking at the sun.
Yeah.
I will 1,000%, no glasses, be staring directly at the sun. So
Yes.
Yep.
I promised I would say that. I just want to put that out there. That's what I'm
Yep.
doing. That's what I always
Exactly.
do.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
you can use tools to help you get yes, no responses while you're building trust in the aphysical. So I have dowsing rods. They're on the table behind me, which
Mhm.
you hold and they'll swing for yes or no. You can use a pendulum. You can use the sway method, and you can use muscle testing. So I'm happy to break down any of those or just put them out there. I don't know what would be the most useful for
I do the
people.
sway method, and I've always wondered like how accurate it is. It seems pretty accurate.
Are you
I'll be
talking
like,
about when you're standing with your body and like
yeah,
frontwards or backwards? Yeah, me too.
I do that
Mhm.
all the time. Well, not all the time, because a lot of times now I just intuitively know, but if I'm like, oh, I really just want to check, I do the sway method because for me, I don't know, I feel like muscle testing on myself rather than with someone else. I feel like my mind can get in the way. What do you think?
Yeah, we all have one or two that we're most comfortable with and we trust the most. That's why I like to teach all of them. Like some
Hmm.
people just can't sway for anything, but they love the finger test. I'm one of those. I mean, I can sway, but I love the finger test. And
Mm.
some people can't get the pendulum to ever be consistent, but they're really good with dowsing rods. And I don't know why, but I've done it long enough to know that certain things work for certain people. And it's just like you said, they're just tools to help you establish connection. And once you have it, you don't need them anymore. But they
Yeah.
do build trust when we're reminding ourselves that we are like powerfully connected.
Love that. Yeah. I love the pendulum and I still love muscle testing. I love swaying too. But I think I use those two the most, the pendulum and the swaying. But dowsing rods sounds cool. I don't have those.
They're a little more advanced and they're easier to interfere with, so I don't really teach them. The dowsing rods were, I grew up around farming and they were used all the time to find minerals and water. And first time I ever held them in my hands, I have a decent sense of direction, but if you ask me north, I can't tell you. Like I can tell you which way the grocery store is. And I held them and I said, show north, and they were like, right to north. And it's like, you're either used to them or you're not. And it's like I don't know, skiing. It's like really hard to learn as an adult. But if you got used to them when you were a child, then you're more adept with them. That's the best I can explain for dowsing rods. And again, I don't exactly know why, but there it is a little bit more of an advanced technique.
Do you have a, do you think you could quickly show us a pendulum? I mean,
Yeah,
those are
of
pretty
course.
simple, right?
Yeah, and I have a free training if anyone wants it. I can just send you the link and you can share it.
Oh, awesome.
How funny will that be if my pendulum's not right here? My cat takes it sometimes.
No, same. I don't think mine's here. My cat's still everything.
Oh no, I have one. The pendulum is it doesn't have to be like labradorite or whatever you choose. It just needs to be anything that can swing on a string. And it you need to identify your yes no. So you'll hold this. I don't hold it over a body part because I know that the nervous system can interfere from all of my training and muscle testing. Actually, I have advanced nutritional muscle testing training, but I just hold it over the floor. And so you'll say something like, show me what yes means. Now I'm going to manually do this, but it'll start to do something like this, right? And then you'll hold it and you'll say, show me my no for today. And it might be more like that. Again, I'm manually creating this movement, but you establish your yes, no. You have to be at neutral. If there's too much attachment to outcome, it'll cause a bias. And if there's too much emotional charge, it will block the accurate read. But you can ask yes, no questions to the pendulum, and the answers I mean, you have to try it to see. But this is one tool that I train people to use as they build trust in their connection.
Yep. Mine always moves in circles. So like clockwise is a yes, counter is a no.
Mine's
Always.
the
Always
forward and
Interesting.
back, side to
Mine are
side.
forward and back. Yeah.
Yep, mine are always circles. Always has been since I was younger. I've used pendulums for years.
That's interesting.
If you're
Um,
like an energy practitioner, you can hold them over the chakras. And for me, if the
mm,
chakra is um, something's damaged, we'll say, or off, it'll do like that. It'll actually
Yep.
hop. It's really fascinating.
Yep. I used to do that in
mm,
my Reiki sessions. Yep.
cool. I usually call in my highest divine guides of light before I do the sway method mostly out of if I'm gonna like do a yes, no method, I'll call them in and then I'll just say, please show me yes. I'll stand there. It's usually forward, I think, is yes. Please show me
Mhm.
no. And it's funny because when I ask, should I move to wherever? Or should I do this program? Or should I, whatever, take this job? A lot of times it's not the answer I want. So I know it's not me moving. I'm like, oh, like really? And then I'm like, okay, relax, Regina, get to neutral. And I ask again, and I'm like, shit, okay.
So this is where it can get really tricky because the more you alter your questions, the more you can get specific on why the answer is that way. And the best example I have of this is when I went on my honeymoon, I got so sick. So sick that we came home a week early. I couldn't keep anything down. I was basically crapping myself everywhere we went.
Oh.
And because of my nutrition testing training, I knew it has to be an immune stressor,
Mm,
like the V's and the P's that we try and kill off out of our bodies.
hmm
I hope that's specific enough. And or it's heavy metals, it's chemicals, it's certain things going on. And so I kept asking, like, what is this? And I kept getting a P.
mm. Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, wait, a what? Wait.
The
can I
episode
say
we
it?
had, yeah, Parasite. We
A
had
Okay.
2
parasite. Yeah,
Okay,
episodes.
okay.
got it.
I
Yeah,
kept
yeah, yeah.
getting that it was a parasite.
Wow.
And I was sick for a month and I kept asking the treatment and getting nothing. I was pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, yes, it is by all means very much a parasite in my body that is calling for no treatment. And so it's always worth it to go deeper on the questions if you can,
Wow.
because it never crossed my mind that it was
That's
pregnant.
kind of creepy. Well, I mean, I think we all have them, unfortunately, but like when you're pregnant and you have it, it's like, oh,
No, the baby was the
The
parasite.
baby was a parasite. That's what I was saying.
oh,
Yeah. And that's why it was saying no treatment.
Yeah.
oh,
And that's why I was throwing
didn't put two
up
and two together.
and
Okay.
sick and tired because I was pregnant.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
sometimes we'll get an answer and we think we know what it means. And then 3 months later, we'll be like, oh my God, I didn't ask right. It was exactly like I got the exact right answer from my pendulum. So always try and take your questions deeper. Like ask,
Mm,
should I take this job? You get a no. Be like, should I be thinking about a new job right now? Is it
mm,
the timing? Are there other things I should focus on? Is there inner work that I need to do before I should ask about the job? Because I believe that the guidance will push us to the most important thing for us. So if you shouldn't be worrying about a job right now, you're going to get a no. But maybe you are supposed to ask about it in 2 weeks after you've recovered from the breakup. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yep.
that makes sense. I usually just accept the no or yes. I'm like, shit. And I'll ask again and then I just let it go. Usually I think because intuitively I kind of know why. Like, I kind of know, like, okay, I kind of felt it wasn't in alignment, but I was still hoping it was, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Love that. Jackie, so side note, it is Sean's birthday today.
Really?
Oh,
That's kind of special.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
he would have been 47.
Wow.
Wow. So
Hmm.
that's how we know each other basically
Hmm.
through the medium session. Yeah, wow. Did you do something special?
No, um, no. It's still a wobbly road with my daughter, you know, and I let
Yeah.
her go at her own pace with everything.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Did you have a
Oh,
candle?
um, I do have a candle. I have lots of candles.
Yeah. Maybe light a candle.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea.
oh,
Wow, that's really special.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Um, I love that.
Hmm.
I feel a connection even though I've never met him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I need to do a session with you, Jackie, and you're going to be my business coach. Um, yeah, I could literally just hang out with you all night, but we're basically at the hour mark. So why don't we wrap up the recording? to see if there's any last minute questions after the recording in the Facebook group, and then I will let you go about your evening. How does that sound?
It sounds great. Thank you so much for having me on. That flew
Yeah.
by for me, but I was talking a lot.
Yeah, it really did. So,
I feel like it
just to
always
wrap
goes
up,
fast.
yeah, I kind of like hate it too. I'm like, shoot, I want to keep hanging out, but um, so why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? Is there anything that you're promoting right now? I know that you have some things you're working on. Anything that you kind of want to let people know about?
Um, so I think a lot of people want to know if I'm still doing medium sessions, and I am, but you need to email me. I don't have them posted online anymore. When I started, I was entirely referral, and I felt like my sessions were the highest and best when they came through referral. And so
Yeah.
certainly somebody who's watching this it would, in my mind, be considered a referral. And so I took the ability to book offline, and it's been better for me. So I am still doing sessions. Just email me. Um, my book, my very first sole like author, where I'm the only author self-published book, comes out the week of April 16th. It's called Parked by the Exit, and it is about my experiences embracing my mediumship. And I also built in all of my like tips for people. Like if you're experiencing this, try this. So it's some ways like a self-help guide as well. There's no genre for books like this. There should be, but I'm all about breaking up the genres. So my website is connections.with.jackie.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm very good at, I don't use chatbots anymore. I respond myself. So if you want to connect, you can find me there. And obviously the business coaching and consulting is my main thing now. And that's for anyone who really needs help with the growth or strategies. A big thing I've been saying lately is if you put something out there and it didn't work, you need to tinker. Don't give up. Don't give up. Like, let's chat and let's tinker and
Yeah.
let's see if we can find a way to make it work because the world needs us doing this as our professions, helping as many people as possible. So, yeah,
Love it.
connectionswithjackie.com or find me on Instagram and let's chat.
What is your Instagram?
Connections.with.jackie.
And then what is your email?
Best one is hi at connectionswithjackie.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And then what is something you want to leave us with before we end the recording?
I would just really invite you to trust who and what you are and encourage you if you have a hunch to follow it because the guidance you'll receive from it is going to make your life better.
Mm,
Yeah, I think that's it. Follow your hunch, and it's the same like advice that I would give in business. Don't give up, just tinker. Just keep trying. No professional or like highly psychically connected person started with a perfect connection that I've ever met, at least.
love
Even
it.
gurus, they go sit in a cave for like 40 years in silent. You know what I mean? Like there's a path and you can get help and it's worth it. That's what I'll close with. It's worth it.
I love it.
I love that. Love it. Well, thank you so much for
Yes.
hanging with us.
Thank you,
And
ladies.
we'll hang out for just a moment in the Facebook group. So if you're in the Facebook group, hang tight. If you have any last minute questions, put them in the chat. If you're watching this anywhere else, please follow us on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram. It's Sovereign AF Podcast. Thank you guys for your support, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.